asking some questions based on this. How has comedy changed over the years?
I don't know if comedy has changed over the years as much as the topics have gone from more universal themes to more local and more specific and dated themes, in particular with politics. We would find family and relationship themes in comedy a long time, and superstition. Today, still see some of that, but there's a very strong influence of what is happening in the politics of the nation of the day in the comedy. Yes. Yeah, it is an international phenomenon, right?
How long you have been in theatre?
I've been on stage for about 37 years.
Wow.
But from about 15 years ago, I was on stage.
Oh, that's really long. How did you actually get involved in theatre? How was
I always liked it. My father used to give us jokes when he come home from work. And when there was a birthday in our family, there were 9 children, sometimes the rest of us would do like a little concert kind of thing. Mommy used to sing, I think Daddy used to sing too. But nobody did anything professional. And then I went to National College and my eye was open, my eyes open to this whole world of the performance. Ralph Mirage and James Lever and a woman named Glenda Bastian, all people who influenced me at National College. And then I ended up among young men, my peers, and so drummers and dancers and singers, and I was just really taken up with all of that in secondary school. And I think that is where the greatest influence and lead happened for me to lead me into the performance.
what can people benefit out of comedy? What can they do to help?
All right. As a practitioner, comedy is probably the most difficult performing art there is. With comedy, you have to be aware of so many more things. Timing is crucial. You have to always be monitoring timing and waiting for the right moment, the right second to shut up or to open your mouth. Timing, you have to monitor timing. You also have to, as a comedian, be able to read the audience and get a sense from them what they're up to. If they want to be challenged intellectually, if they just want slapstick, if they want lewd material, well, you have to be able to work that out. So you have to assess the crowd, you have to be aware of timing. In comedy, you have to, more in all other forms, but I think in comedy, more than ever, you have to be able to listen. You have to listen to yourself and your thoughts. You have to listen to yourself as it utters, and you have to listen to yourself as it goes out there. It's very, very important that you because it's easy for words to slip, and it's crucial to cover it and to recover from it when that happens. In comedy also, you have to know everything that's going on in the world. You must be aware of all of the current affairs all the time. The new Pope now elected, Jorge Bergoglio from Argentina. As soon as something happens in the world, you have to know it immediately in comedy, because wit depends on unprepared stuff. And wit is a big part of comedy. You have to be witty, so you have to know things. You have to know languages, you have to know geography, you have to know your current affairs, you have to know your chemistry, your biology, all these things. Because if you're not on it, you can't be witty. You can't be intelligent and witty. So that's crucial. In comedy also you need to have what we call a sense of occasion, to know what belongs where. what occasion you go risky, what occasion you have to do family type material, what occasion you can do intellectual material, what if you need to have a real good and politically sound and politically correct head on the shoulders to practice comedy. You really, really do, and you have to have pardon the expression but bored. To go out on a stage with a couple thousand people there with nothing prepared. But that's what you have to be able to do if you're doing comedy. And it's different from comedic acting, where you're a part of a cast, where you have other people on stage with you, which is also very, very demanding. We're listening for when the laughter reaches you and starts to drop, to know when to pick it up again to carry it, when to pick it up again to carry it, and not pause too long for you to have to build again. So comedy is very intense, and I love it because you just have to be aware of so many things. You're juggling about 6 balls on stage when you're doing comedy.
What
was your question? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, what can people benefit from?
Right. But as a practitioner, as somebody who consumes comedy, it really helps to take you away from whatever is troubling you. It helps to take you away from the reality of things that may be stressful for you and put you in a place of relaxation. And so it's why comedy should
what have you learned from comedy, and how has it helped you over the years in your career?
What have I learned from comedy, boy? I've learned that every crowd is different, and helped me to appreciate how different people are. It has helped me to learn that no matter how different people are, where they come from, they like to laugh, and that they enjoy a good joke. Comedy has taught me how to face an awkward situation and try to turn it into something that can benefit me. Comedy taught me very early to get up and go again, no matter what. Because remember, this is somewhere in the early 80s, Relator. Early 80s, or no, late 80s, mid to late 80s, Relator had a show called Nostalgia. It played at the Holiday to sell out audiences. And they brought it to a discotheque called Rolls Royce Discotheque. Rolls Royce, the stage is in a corner, so audience like in an L going off from it. And it's in a corner, and adjoining the stage has this little room where they keep equipment and so on. And they asked me to open for Relator. Now the audience right there, this that time I'm young, it's probably the first time I do something like this. And I went on, and I was my first joke. Nobody laughed. And I said nobody. And I said, here, man. I said, who is he? And next one saying, yeah, what are you doing there? And the whole that thing fell into one big boo and gone from here, and we all Relator, we come to see. I exited the stage into the little room, saying, I can't leave unless I cross the stage. And I didn't want nobody to see me. So I retreated that little room till not only did the show finish, but till most of the people left the venue before I came out. And I thought I'd never go on stage again. But I had to be on stage the next night with an ensemble play. And I could have called and said I'm not coming again. But I knew I had to get up and dust off my seat and go again. And that is something that I took with me throughout the rest of my life. Through the rest of my life. That recovery and getting up and going again.
What themes or issues did you use in comedy, and why?
All right. In the early, a lot of my comedy was sexual because it was safe, because people liked to laugh at that. So a lot of it was sexual. But as I grew, I realized more and more making a joke on myself, people like to laugh at that too. When they hear about difficulties that a person has been in. Today, my comedy, I have different ranges, so I could do comedy for any audience, but I like to be in a place where I talk about things that have a message in it. So, like Children Learn What They Live is one of my themes. Fatherhood is one of my themes. One of my themes has to do with HIV and AIDS. So I like to do comedy about things where, although you're laughing, you can connect to something that you may need to look at or change in your own life.
How has your experience been in theater?
I've had a good experience in theater. I've worked with a number of people. Some actors in Trinidad work with a group through their time, but I've been able to work with Stokes and Hill, now deceased, and that's where I was really introduced to comedy. I worked in school. Then I worked with people like Julie Stone, Touchstone Productions. I worked with Trinidad Theatre Workshop. I worked with the Baggage Company. I worked with Funny Farm Factory. I worked with Ha-Ha Productions. I've worked with a real big, wide cross-section of people. And so I've been exposed to different types of work on stage. I've done comedy, but I've done serious work also on stage, serious drama, straight drama. And every time I put on a character, it teaches me something more about how other people feel and how other people see things. So my life in the theater has one that has helped me to mature and to grow up and to respect and love other people. Right?
Have you heard any stories of people saying that your plays have helped them to get over tragic events, or has just taught them something?
Well, not today, but my talk, because I go and I talk. Some schools and some groups invite me to talk about my life because I'm a recovering drug addict and I'm visible, so people see me, they know me. So some people invite me, and I heard from many people in different situations that, your life has helped my father or my mother or my son or my daughter. You don't know Mr. Fabien, but you saved my life, and different things like that. So I continue to try my best to talk to people about my own life. The question she said. When you say four, quietly, so it's very important.
How, like, say for me, how, say if I want to go into theater, how can I get started?
You want to go into theater, pay attention in everything in school. Because in theater, you need everything. You need to know everything under the sun when you're doing theater. You must know. If you're playing a doctor and you have no sense of medicine, you can't bring something real to it. I mean, you have to learn something for a little bit, being playing an astronaut or some crazy thing, But in terms of your craft and so on, look and observe. Your eyes and ears are your best friends in the theater. Go to the theater. You have to be there. To get good at something, you have to do 10,000 hours of it. All right? So, every chance you get into a role, get into a play, get into a production. On the academic side, English literature, English language, the history of your region, your history. These things are very, very important, and they're your best friends. A lot of pieces you're going to come across have to do with history, So a sense and a knowledge of it is going to help you. But the English language and literature are the things that you'll be wielding around. You'll be giving life to metaphors, and you'll be doing personifications, and all these things on stage is language coming alive when you're on stage. So you have to have a good sense of language. I love language. I like to take language and twist it and bend it and do all kinds of different things. But if you look at the really, really successful people, you will see that aspect of the craft involved in this. Yeah? It's not just about the word, it's about what you can do with the word.
How do you deal with critics?
Critics are your best friend when involved in theater, when involved in anything, because if you're perfect, there will be no criticism. And we aspire to perfection. We'll never get there, but we aspire to that. So the critics are the ones who remind you, hey, it's not there yet. So pay more attention, work harder, do more research. Critics are very, very important.
Like a motivation.
Yeah, you know. But and some of it could be malicious, some of it could be whatever, but you have to move that aside and look at what is being said. No matter how great you think you did something, you can do better. And being my own critic is the most important critic in your life.
What obstacles you have encountered during your life in comedy?
Some of the obstacles have to do with the employers. I think people don't really respect the art or the craft of comedy, and so it's difficult to get a contract signed sometimes. If I had to do comedy and they produce a contract, they're like, what is that for? Or if you have a manager in place or assistant you want them to deal with, you always want to break those things down to deal with you. But you know, if we're dealing with some other area and there's a manager who's comfortable to deal with that. But somehow, even with actors also, if there's an agent or there's a manager or there's an assistant, I think that people have an issue with that, and that is one of the problems that I've encountered during my craft. And payment, you know. They tell you after something, well, you see, we didn't do too good, they see how the show went and that kind of thing. When in fact, I didn't come to you to say, hi, Mr. Listener, it's you who called me and you're agreeing a price with me. I didn't take a chance that people would come to my show. You take a chance, but you should still find my money to give me. But they will find the song man money and the stage man money and they like the man money. But somehow the comedian or the actor's money, that's their problem for them to find. So that is one of that's the main area of problem. Then also with regard to how they treat you. Sometimes we go to perform somewhere, there's no dressing room. Or there's a dressing room with no light. Or no mirror. Or nowhere to hang your clothes. You know, and these things are important things for us. Or a drink of water backstage. You know, these things are important things for us to go out on stage. To make your audience happy, who paid you their money to come to see a show. You know, so those are some of the problems.
So all them obstacles, how have you overcome?
Well, building your name, being good, being outstanding at what you do, helps to overcome those problems. So when people call me now, the number of people have to call me is, I don't want that phone don't ring in my pocket. Sure. That the number of people have to reach me on is my system. Right? And I get a little more, I get less hassle from them because I think people know when they call me, it's a quality of work I'm coming to do, and that they wouldn't mess around with me. Come on. The other way to do this is a six-play gun. To overcome it, you have to lose something sometimes to get something. And so there are some people who find that I shouldn't have the protocol and so on that I have, so they don't call me and I call. But you have to be prepared to lose some so that you get more in the long run. Additionally, I found that getting a lot of work outside seems to clearly work locally and regionally. So people like to know when they Google you, when they check on you, and see things that they pay different places and things. How are you doing? Like, I'm just wrapping up a little meeting here. Like it's fine, you get a little more. Also, I've become a businessman too. Running a television station. So these things all work to reduce the way people treat you and what they expect from you and so on. And good work will always help you overcome obstacles.
My last question. How did you overcome fear?
Fear? I have not overcome fear. And I think that the actor or the comedian who overcomes that, I'm not sure they'll have enough tension or enough stress in their work going on stage. I'm still scared to walk out on stage. just like if I go to do a competition and things, just start to announce I'm going to go and see. I have a lot of anxiety, but that anxiety is a good anxiety as you walk out and say because it converts into the energy of what you're going to do. I
it was really an honor to do this interview on you. I've not only learned, collect information, but I've gained some inspiration.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
More than welcome. Just call anytime you need good information and help and
Because I'm also thinking of going into acting and theatre. And I've asked a few people, but they give me enough information